Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video discussing a few things that I think are important for just for context, so you understand what to expect as the bot is doing what it's doing, the strategy is running. One thing that I really want to make sure is clear is the potential for drawdowns. It's significant. Now it does have this Goblin strategy does have a wonderful backtest. Okay, the equity curve is amazing. The drawdowns are fairly minimal. The win weight is significantly high. It appears to be a really strong strategy. It's been doing great since we went live. Very happy with the results, but we have to always be aware that there is the likelihood, and in fact, I would say inevitability of a significant drawdown. We have to be willing to live through that and manage that risk and understand that, you know, the degree to which you put money in, the degree to which you increase leverage is going to maximize those drawdowns and the potential, pain you might feel from that or loss, right? So I just want you to have a picture in your mind of what that could look like. Okay, so this is a more than 2-year back test that I'm looking at, January of 21 until today, which is February 20th of 2023. If we were to run this at just 1x leverage, starting with $1,000, this is what it looks like over that time. Now I know most people aren't really interested in 1x. I get that. That's fine. But I just want you to see the comparison of what this looks like. Max drawdown of minus 13.7, and it happened back in May of 2021. And that month, as we look back, or as we look through these different settings of different leverages, you're going to see that month was the month. Okay, May of 2021 was the bad month, the worst month in the entire back test. And as you increase the leverage, it gets significantly worse and worse. Okay, now since then, you can see it's been pretty good, right? Pretty consistent. We haven't really seen any major drawdowns. Some I guess significant ones, but nothing like this, right? Now let me show you what it looks like with 2x, and we'll go through a few different options here. So using 2x, you can see it makes a massive difference on the profit. It's like a 10x difference, right? That's the power of leverage and compounding leverage. But check out the drawdown. We went from what that number was before, 13.7% up to 26.5, right? So big jump in drawdown, but I think most of us would say, hey, I'd make that trade all day long. Yeah, I'm gonna have to live through a potential drop, but you have to understand and put yourself in this position. Let's say you started right here, and then you started and we went through a 27% drawdown right after. How would you be feeling? What would you be thinking? Would you be saying, I wish I hadn't put so much in, I wish I hadn't taken so much risk? Or would you say, you know what, I'm a seasoned investor, I'm used to that, I know what that's like, and I can work through this, and I hope that it's going to recover, understanding that it may not, right? But we think that it will, right? So you just have to be willing to understand what that's gonna look like emotionally and mentally for you. Okay, and that's just 2x. All right, let's keep going. Okay, here we've got the 5x numbers. Now I do not get carried away with this big number right here, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. But obviously you see the profit is significantly higher, right? Got the same win rate. That's not going to change at all. But look at that drawdown, 59%. You would have had to live through a almost 60% drawdown back in May of 2021. Now granted, it recovered and it's done well since then, right? But you could look at that and you could say, geez, we had one time where it was 60%, some others that were fairly stiff. Some of those look like they're 30 to 40%. Am I going to be able to psychologically and mentally and emotionally handle that? Okay, if I can't, I shouldn't be using this kind of leverage. All right, am I putting in more money in and just thinking, okay, guaranteed thing, I'm going to be a millionaire in a year or 2 years? That's a mistake. You shouldn't do that. You should never risk more than you can afford to lose, and you should never use more leverage than you can bear, right? And I'm talking about emotionally, financially, mentally, all of those things. Okay, let's look at 10x, and I want you to see what that looks like. Okay, here are the 10x numbers, and again, do not look at this number and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a billionaire if I run at 10x. That is not going to happen. Okay, and I'll explain in a few minutes why that is the case. But check out this drawdown, 93%. Okay, can you live with a 93% drawdown risk? Most people, I would say no. Now granted, you could look at this and say, oh, mathematically it recovered, and obviously it has done very well, and that's fine to look at that and say that, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to continue running that way. All right, so if you're going to run with some of these extreme kind of like aggressive leverages, you just have to be prepared for what could happen to your portfolio. All right, I've added a tab to the Goblin Chatbot spreadsheet. It's in the pinned messages in Discord, so you can easily find this. And what this is showing is the backtest, what I just showed you, the max portfolio drawdown by leverage for that backtest period from January 1st, 2021 through February 20th of 2023. The worst drawdown in every single one of these scenarios was in May of 2021. Since then, it hasn't been nearly as bad, but this is the worst case scenario in the backtest period. So you can see at 1x leverage, it was almost 14. 10x leverage, it was just over 93%. Okay, massive drawdowns depending on your leverage. All right. So you guys have to make these decisions on your own. This is, of course, not financial advice in any way. I just want you guys to have some information available to you to make that decision based on your own understanding of how the marketplace works and your own risk tolerance. All right. Now, I know some people are using this 10x to do kind of just a very small, very, very small bag, see if they can quickly get a return and then kind of pull that money out, right? And some people are making that decision, and that's fine. They can make whatever decision they want for their portfolio. I'm just telling you there is significant risk for portfolio drawdown as the leverage increases. Okay. Gremlin has a similar profile, and I've added a separate tab on that spreadsheet as well, so you can see the same numbers. Gremlin does have higher drawdowns relative to leverage. Max leverage on Astrobit with Ethereum is 5x. That's why this only goes to 5, whereas Bitcoin max is 10x. Okay, so it's the same story. Okay, so if you're going to run 5x on Gremlin, you better be prepared for some drawdowns. Okay, so I would consider it personally for my personal trading. I consider it an inevitability that we'll see drawdowns like that again. It's just a matter of time. Now, will we see it this month or a year from now? I have no idea, but I have to be prepared mentally and emotionally for this eventuality if I'm going to run a 5x. I'm not telling you to run a 5x. I'm just telling you that if you're doing that, this is what the backtest shows could happen. It could even be worse than what the backtest shows. You guys understand that backtests do not guarantee what's going to happen in the future. Okay, this is just what did happen or would have happened if you had run this in the past. It doesn't mean it's going to happen again. It could mean that whatever happens in the future is going to be even worse, right? Depending on what leverage you're running and how much you've invested, that could have a significant impact on your life. So you need to bear those things in mind. Well, let's talk about these big numbers. I showed you some big numbers on the TradingView backtest just a minute ago, and I told you should, for the most part, ignore those massive numbers. Why? Okay, look at these 5x results. This is showing that you're taking $1,000. We started with $1,000. And it went up and it went down along the way, but it grew significantly. That's a massive return, right? And what I don't want is people coming in here and thinking I'm going to be a millionaire in a year. Okay, why? Well, the math. Look, I believe this math is correct. You can make a copy of this spreadsheet, check it for yourself. This is just what I did. My calculations. I think they're right, but obviously that's no guarantee. You can check these numbers to make sure. But the reality is, none of us are going to let a bag compound like this. We're going to take profits out as we go. This calculation is assuming constant compounding, zero profits taking out. No one would, I wouldn't do that. I don't think anybody would, because there's a lot of risk in leaving money on a centralized exchange. The exchange could go belly up like FTX did. So imagine your bag grew to $500,000 and then FTX went under. You'd be in a world of hurt. You'd be very disappointed you didn't take out some profits, right? The other issue, as like it says down here in this note, you eventually you get with huge bags, and if a bunch of us are trading with big, large bags, we're going to start seeing slippage, and it's going to squeeze these profit numbers, right? We're not going to be seeing the numbers that are on the spreadsheet. You'll get a different number, and it's kind of these marginal return or I guess smaller returns as you go. Now, at some point, as a strategist, we might have to say, look, we're going to have to cap the bag size that everyone can trade with, so that we don't have too much slippage, right? Now, that's something we don't have a good grasp on at the moment. I don't think is really an issue right now. I know it's Bitcoin and there's a ton of liquidity, but I also know that it's possible to experience slippage, especially if a bunch of us are kind of on the same exchange maybe, or versus other exchanges, or we're just trying to push through too big of an order size between all of us, right? So, when I showed you that number on 10x, it's like $3 billion or some crazy number like that. That is not what's going to happen. None of us are going to grow our bags to $3 billion, okay? It would not happen because we'd take profits out. That would decrease the compounding, and it would not happen because we would get slippage. Plus, most of us are not even KYC'd, right? So if you're in different countries, if you're not in the US, you might be KYC'd. But if you are not KYC'd, and let's say you got a bag on Bybit, Well, they limit their withdrawals. It's something like, I don't know what it is, 50 grand or 100 grand a month or something like that. Can you imagine if you built up $1 million bag? You think they're not going to take notice of that and be like, we've got some non-KYC guy here, keeps trying to take out money. Maybe we'll force him to KYC. And do you trust him to let you keep your bag if you KYC it? Because I wouldn't, right? And so growing a bag on an exchange where you're not KYC'd, to me personally, is significantly risky. And even if it wasn't, you've got the exchange risk itself. Like I mentioned before, FTX went completely belly up. Those people may not ever see a dime from the bankruptcy out of that. So you wouldn't want to risk a huge bag on one exchange and then not be able to get the money out, right? So these are all just words of caution. Again, as I've mentioned, none of this is financial advice. I've got this big disclaimer here. You've got to make your own decisions on leverage. You've got to make your own decisions on how much you're putting in there, your own decisions on take profit or stop loss, and consult your financial advisor for advice. These are just thoughts from me, things that I am using for my own personal risk management and kind of how I am looking at this, so that I can manage my own financial and mental and emotional well-being. I do not want to live through a drawdown like this. I mean, can you imagine putting a bag of any size in there and then seeing it decrease by 93%? I mean, I don't think I could handle that. I don't want anyone to do something that puts them in an unhealthy place, or something that would just cause their life to be in turmoil. So just be smart, make decisions that are not greedy, don't let FOMO get the best of you. Just be smart about this and don't be too aggressive. I want to give you just one other example. These are the results from the date that we started sending live signals. Now this includes the beta. Okay, we started sending live signals on October the 25th, and this is from that date until today. So October 25th, 2022 to February, I guess it would include February 19th, 2023. Check this out. Okay, now look, it's done well. Everyone seems to be really happy overall with the results. December was kind of sideways. November was really nice. We ended up, I think, right around here in November, and then we popped along sideways for all through December. It was kind of annoying, but at least we didn't go down. And then January was insane, and February's been pretty good too. Now, check this out though. We had, look at that, this is at 5x, a 31% drawdown at 5x. All right, so say you had started on that day right there, October, whatever that is, 26th, 27th, and then we had, I think, 5 losses in a row, guys. That is the only time it's ever happened. We've only ever had a 5 loss streak in the entire backtest history. It was right when we started sending live signals. Okay, we actually had 5 wins and then 5 losses. So it's just kind of, I don't know, odd or ironic, I guess, however you want to look at it. But that was it. That was the drawdown, and yeah, it kind of sucked through that period. It recovered. Everyone's, we're all happy. Great, it's doing wonderfully well. But you just have to be prepared for these things to happen. If you're going to run at a leverage of 5x, you got to be prepared. You might see a 31% drawdown. You might see a 60% drawdown like the backtest shows, right? I just showed you guys that a minute ago. Look at that, almost 60% on the Goblin. All right, now it could be worse, right, guys? It could be worse. I just need you all to be prepared. So, we've been having some good runs. We can also have some bad runs, and we all hope that the overall trend continues, that like it has been in the back test and in the live testing. But we just have to be prepared, be ready mentally and emotionally for when things don't go the way we hope. All right. Okay. Hopefully this helps. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to chime in on Discord. All right, that's it from me, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you all for supporting this project. We're really trying to do something that will be beneficial as a community, that we can all grow this together and find success with it. And of course, we hope the success continues. It's gone really well so far. The live results from month to month look just great. It's exactly like what I would expected from the back test, so I'm happy about that, and hope we continue to see that. All right, guys, thanks for watching.